Okay. Hi, Silas.
Hi, Laurie. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. How are you starting out this new year?
Um, Under the circumstances, actually, I'm feeling remarkably good. I feel positive about this year, and I think there's a kind of determination not to let the current situation overwhelm, but try to find what in it is useful. You know,
Okay.
um, uh,
Yes.
I think one of the things that I'm starting to find, which I think would help all of us. And I wish that we had some leadership on this, but that's not the way at the moment from the politicos at the top. One of the things I'm finding is patience.
Mm,
That one of the things I've learned over the last couple of months is to really be patient. You know,
nice.
I think that I feel that around me, people over New Year's were impatient for the vaccine to come and solve everything.
Yeah.
And the start of this year has kind of shown us that it's still going to be a very, very long time
Mm,
till anything really levels out. So that's that straight away I was like, you need to be really patient. And I feel patient at the moment, actually.
mm,
Quite grounded. So yeah, it's been a surprisingly good start to the year this week.
good. That's great.
Yeah.
So here we are in early January. It's classic time to do goal setting or visioning and that kind of thing. Would you like to? So my proposal is that we look at what are learnings from 2020
Yeah.
that you want to bring forward
Yeah.
and move into 2021 and
Yeah.
create a vision for
Yeah.
the
That
year.
would be really, really good.
Yeah.
I think that would be really useful. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So, how about this? The thing that comes to my mind is name three to five things off the top of your head that you learned in 2020 that you want to incorporate, like take with you. Like imagine we have this bowl that we're filling or basket that you're filling, you're going to take with you into 2021.
Yeah.
What are some of the things in the basket?
The first thing that pops to mind is specific to the journey that you and I have been on, which is about learning technology. When we went into the first lockdown, uh, I didn't have a home studio or any knowledge of using the computer to make uh, musical or voice recordings.
Hmm.
And I resisted it for a while, and then I used our session to kind of give me a boost. And I have been a real technophobe in my life. And the other day I was thinking, there's always this voice of should, which I've been trying to grapple with. You should know this, or you should be doing this, or you should be doing that.
Yeah.
And so I've been counteracting that voice by saying, but what have you achieved? What are you good at? What do you enjoy? And grow that. And one of the things that I've really achieved this year is being able to use my computer to record.
Mhm.
And in fact, I have done a couple of professional voiceovers now from home and been
Good.
able to manage those really, really well. And the people at the other end in Germany and Canada are very happy with uh, the the quality and the way in which I've been using it. So I think the lesson that I'm taking from 2020 is that given time and application, I can overcome my fear of technology and I can learn.
And would that apply to any other fears as well?
Um, yeah, I think there is a general truth in there that what holds me back is my fears. But if I take things methodically and slowly and give myself time and don't set myself time limits, then I can get there.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that was a really big lesson from 2020, and I had to remind myself of it at the end of the year because there's still that voice, but you haven't done this and you haven't done that. And I looked back just before Christmas when I got a little voiceover job just before Christmas, and it was very easy for me to set up the studio to to tap into these guys in Germany, to do the recording, to listen to all of the things they needed from me, to be able to do that on the computer, record it, send it to them. And I kind of reflectively looked at it and I went, you would not have been able to do that X amount of months ago. Yeah. You know, you would have said to your agent, I can't do that job. And then I was able to do that job. So instead
congratulations, by the way.
Well, thank you. Thanks. It's a really good feeling. And it's really good to put it into that perspective because, and it's funny how, you know, I'm sitting here as your client. I do this with my clients too. You know, I speak to my clients about this. We are constantly saying, I should have this done by then. I should be able to do this. And those shoulds stop us from trying, hold us back.
Yeah.
And what I know about myself now is that I have to give myself time to overcome those fears and to learn, because when you have a fear around something, it sinks in very slowly. It does for me anyway.
Okay.
And that, you know, that the time span doesn't really matter. What matters is the journey of learning, you know, and then one day you might find that you arrive. And at the end of this year, I found that I had arrived somewhere, you know, which was a great lesson actually, and it's something to take forward.
So given time and application, I can overcome. Those are the first things you said. Then you use the word methodical and give myself time. But you know, you said you were starting out this year feeling patient. It's also about patience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Patience with yourself, patience with learning, patience with yourself.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing, because I am impatient, and I think that really trips me up. I think it has done all my life. You know, or I'm impatient in certain areas. I want to be brilliant at something straight away. Otherwise, there's this voice in me that says, "What's the point?"
Yeah, right. And you had that expression that we were working with, master in the making.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's partly about that too, isn't it?
Yeah. It's remembering in the making part. You know, as opposed to, you can get overwhelmed by mastery.
Yeah.
And wanting to be a master straight away. You know. But the part of the sentence that's important to hold on to is in the making. It's always in the making. You know, so don't. It's a good lesson for me not to have to arrive, but to actually enjoy the journey along the way, enjoy the learning. Yeah.
Now, as we capture these, do you want to keep track of them, write them down, or do you want me to? Yeah.
You repeated back to me a really good sentence. Can you?
Given time and application, I can overcome.
That's the one.
And then I can learn came after that. And you used the word methodical.
Yeah.
After that.
Okay, good.
What else comes to mind as a lesson, something you learned in 2020 that you want to bring forward?
I think one of the most powerful things for me, which has, you know, I'm now really applying, is the walking in the woods. Towards the end of the year, it was becoming something of an addiction. You know, I didn't feel it was complete unless I got out there. And yesterday I went for a walk, and it was really cold, and it was sleeting at times. And, you know, I was sitting inside looking at the day outside going, oh my God, that's horrible. I don't want to be out there. But there was this compulsion to walk. And I ended up walking for 2.5 hours and speed walking because it was cold, you know, which was kind of great exercise. So, and that is addressing all of the exercise needs. You know, usually I'd be using a gym, and I haven't been able to for a year. And it's difficult for me to jog because I don't enjoy it. I have back trouble and it's very impactful, and it always feels like a should.
Mm.
I must get out there. I should jog. I should lose some weight, and I just never get around to it because it's it's not something I want to do at all.
Yeah.
But I have found that walking addresses all of those needs, but it does something a lot more than that. I mean, I know that I'm absorbing a lot of fractals, and I'm in woods and I'm in trees and in nature, and all of that has an impact, but it's having a quite profound impact on me. It is changing my mood over the course of a very short space of time. When I come back from those walks, I feel very positive
Mm-hmm.
and very excited, actually, to get on with stuff.
Nice.
So that for me has been surprising.
Mm.
Obviously, I've always enjoyed walking. I've enjoyed being in the woods. I enjoy being in nature. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
But what is surprising to me is when I do it as much as I have been doing, the impact is immediate and really quite big. Mm. So that is something that I really want to take forward this year, is actually incorporating into my day those walks.
Yeah.
To try and do as many as I can in the week, and as many long walks as I can. Sometimes I get out there for half an hour and an hour, and because that's all the time I have, and I'm disappointed.
Right.
I want it to be at least a good 2-hour walk.
Yeah.
So kind of incorporating that, I think, that was a huge lesson to me. It's been quite powerful, actually.
Great. So long walks.
Yeah.
Great. Given time and application, I can overcome and I can learn is lesson 1, and take long walks, lesson 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
I found a lot of calmness and peace in 2020, actually, and I think this has to do with the patience thing. Mm. One of the really big lessons that I've taken from the pandemic and the effect it's had on us is that, how can I put this? I'm already here. There's always a sense of trying to get somewhere. There's
Mm-hmm.
always a sense of, I want to be over there, or I want to have this, or I want to have that. And the pandemic has really taught me that I have everything I want. It's all here.
Nice.
That thing of having to hunker down.
Mm-hmm.
What it's done is, it's shown me how lucky I am, because I'm always aware of the people who are dealing with this situation who don't have what I have. Yeah. They don't have a big house. They don't have a garden. They don't have access to a forest. Mm. They don't have enough money in the bank. They don't have enough food. Mm-hmm. They don't have a partner that they get on with, over kind of prolonged periods of time of being in the same place. There are lots of people I know out there with good marriages who are suddenly, the marriages are strained because they're not used to spending that much time. Whereas my partner and I are used to spending lots of time together, and we really enjoy it. And I'm beginning to realize how incredibly lucky I am for all of the things I have. And that perspective has really calmed down the voice of, I need more. Right. I need to do better. I need to be better at this. And even in terms of work, because I'm aware that there are so few actors working, and that my profession has been so diminished, that the little bits of work that I have had this year, usually I would look at little bits and pieces of work that I've had and go, look at all the gaps in between.
Right.
I should have done more, or I want to be doing more, or this isn't enough. And this year I've just looked at those little bits and pieces of work that I've had, and I've just been so grateful that I am one of the actors who has had some work. And that has kind of stretched everything out. I think that's why at the beginning of this year, I'm not frightened of another maybe 3-month lockdown. I'm prepared for it, because there's this sense of having stretched everything out. Time is being stretched out. All that I have has been stretched out. I have enough. And it's a really profound lesson for me to take away from this.
So I am already here. I
Hmm.
enjoy what I have. Gratitude, I have enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm reflecting on this. This is becoming um, philosophy of life, perhaps. There's a book in the making here that's, or maybe reflections of, classic philosophies
Yeah.
of life that really work for
Yeah.
people.
I kind of went like that because I'm writing down reflections. I think one of the things I want to do is get back to some writing.
Mm,
Um, and when you said reflections, I just thought it might, and you said there's a book, I thought it might be nice to just record some reflections,
mm,
and I say that purposefully because what I don't want to say is I want to write a book or I want to get back to writing that thing. I just think it might be good to record some reflections,
nice.
and then somewhere down the line, I may or may not be able to use those reflections and expand that into a piece of creative writing. But so yeah, that's kind of resonated with me all of a sudden.
Mm. I'm wondering if those reflections would be useful for some of your actor colleagues.
Yeah, yeah,
Or others, the
yeah,
world.
yeah. I think it could be useful in I think it could be useful in lots of different scenarios. But yeah, it would be great for these reflections for actors.
Mm.
Absolutely. Mm.
Yeah, certainly don't want to set up any more shoulds. Just,
Yeah, but it's there.
yeah.
You see, that's what I'm avoiding. I'm avoiding the
Yeah,
should. I'm avoiding going into like no, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay. How this last one? So I wrote, "I'm already here. Enjoy what I have. Gratitude, I have enough." Is there a theme that you would use for all those words? A top phrase, a
Um,
synthesis of them?
hmm. I think it's just gratitude. I think it's yeah. I think gratitude is the overall theme because it is the thing that it douses those voices of should more. As soon as I practice gratitude, um, I calm down, and B, the universe seems to provide for me in a way that's surprising. I did have this experience at the end of last year. I was doing a job, um, and it was on the back of a number of auditions. We talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of auditions, and now, of course, I'm self-taping and sending it into a vortex. You don't
Right.
hear anything back from these.
Mm,
And I had done several of them, and a lot of work had to go into them because a lot of them required a huge amount of learning and preparation. And I didn't get any of those jobs, and I didn't even hear anything. So it was very demoralizing,
mm,
and I had to turn that around really quickly. So um, I went through the kind of process over the course of a few days of being really grateful, and being grateful that I was getting auditions at least,
mm,
and that I was able to, I've got a good friend who does filming with me, and I had the means to do that, and I had the money in the bank to be able to give myself the time to be able to do that, and started to be really grateful about the work that I had this year. And then my agent called me and said, "Look, I've got an offer for you on another job," and it was a straight offer. I didn't have to audition for this.
mm,
Um, And then my voiceover agent called, and I had a little voiceover just before Christmas. And then I thought, well, once I finished filming on the Tuesday, I thought all the work's done now. It's Christmas time. I can relax. I went to do some volunteering on the Wednesday for the meal project that I help out with. And a friend of mine who runs the Kiln Theatre in, which used to be the Tricycle in Kilburn, called and said, an actor has got COVID. We're doing this job tomorrow and Friday. It's a rehearsed reading of a play. We're going to be doing it on the stage, filming it and live streaming. Can you please jump in? I was like, I'd love to do that. And it was a brilliant play, a brilliant script. So, that took me right up until the Friday night. And I looked back over Christmas and I went, wow, that was 3 jobs that I didn't audition for. So doing all of this work over here for jobs that I didn't get, the disappointment forced me into a place of being grateful for that.
Yeah.
And then I recognized that gratitude of, I am here now, I have all of those things, allowed the universe to bring something in from somewhere else. And I saw that kind of, that circle. So I've kind of lost where we were on that. Yes, the general thing of number 3, I think, is just gratitude. If I practice gratitude, somehow it calms me down, but it also opens up other portals.
Yeah. I love the expression you said, gratitude douses the voices of should.
Yeah, it really does. And that's the lesson really for me from the pandemic. When you're grateful for what you have, then you stop yearning for more and more and more, which is the thing that's really killing us, I think.
Yeah. That yearning.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about the effect of capitalist societies on us in various different forms, in novel form, and a few essays and things. And I'm really coming to the conclusion that we are all living in a world where we're driven to acquire more and more and more, and it's causing us huge amounts of anxiety. And to be able to say, this is enough, I have enough, is a real practice.
Yeah.
And it's actually a difficult practice given the brainwashing that's been going on and the voices that we've all developed. Yeah. And I just noticed that when I get into that calm place, the universe provides in very surprising ways. So holding on to that this year, I think, is going to be a really good thing for me.
Beautiful. So patience, remembering mastery in the making, long walks, gratitude.
Yeah.
Sounds like a beautiful year.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Anything else that comes to mind from 2020?
Well, the thing that's actually popping up into my head is about relationships. I really enjoyed the period of time before Christmas. We got to Christmas and I said to Rachel, it's so nice to get to Christmas and not feel exhausted. Because usually there are so many things going on before Christmas. There's a lot of parties, there are work stews, and a lot of them I feel obliged to do and I go along, but also a lot of them is, living in the city, you kind of feel like you want to make use of all these people around you.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. I get to Christmas usually and I'm like, God, this is so exhausted. I'm so exhausted. I wish we didn't have to do so much of this. And it made me think a lot about the quality of relationships. Now the only way in which I can see people is to go for a walk with them. And I've had a few of those, meeting up with people and going for long walks in Epping Forest, just, me and one other person. And it may be somebody that I've really been missing and I haven't seen for months and months and months. But each time I've done it, the conversation has arisen about how good this is.
Mm.
You know, one friend of mine said, why do we meet up? Why do we go for dinner? Why do we go to restaurants where more often than not we get irritated by the fact we can't really hear each other?
Yeah.
And we end up spending a huge amount of money on food that, you know, more often than not, we're not that happy with, you know, because we're both vegetarians, you know. And she said, every time we meet up, I love seeing you in that way, but isn't it great just to do this and not have to, you know, worry about all of that? So one of the things that I've kind of really reflected upon this year is the fact that yes, I miss people and I miss connection with people, but the connection has morphed into something very, very different. You know, Rachel and I have been talking for a long time about wanting to move to the countryside. Now we know we can, because that thing of missing people or, you know, being within reach of things easily, we've realized that that's a myth. That we can actually, you know, spend time on our own, and I can spend more time on our own really healthily, knowing that friends are there. And knowing that if we book a long walk, or if we were in the countryside, we book a weekend for them to come and stay in a month's time, we know that's happening. So there is something else again about just the quality of relationships, which has been a real lesson for me.
How would you frame that as a lesson? Like, appreciate the quality of relationships, or relationships matter?
It's something about paying attention to the way in which you relate to people. You know, and I can't quite get what the kernel of it is. There is something that's popping up now about the courage of saying no. You know, saying no to saying no to large groups, saying no to crowds, saying no to parties if I don't want to go, but being really clear with the host and saying, that's not what I want to do with you right now. What I would love to do with you is go for a long walk, or I'd like to, you know, book a telephone conversation with you, or a Zoom call with you, where we have a good hour to actually talk to each other in a quiet room, you know. So there is something in there about the choices that we make around people, you know, and not feeling obliged to turn up and be there in the crowded room. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or dinner, crowded room, dinner, all those shoulds.
I think the word that's popping out actually is quality. Choosing, creating quality.
Creating quality.
Yeah.
Creating quality relationships and quality interactions.
Yes.
And I'm going back to your expression about gratitude douses the voices of should. It's like being grateful for the relationships, and there's no shoulds about have to do parties or dinners.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Gratitude for the connection and relationship in the person.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh, I don't know why. That just reminded me of your relationship with trees that we had talked about when we were doing the values work. I don't know, there was something in the quality and relationship and simplicity, or something about that. So, you know.
This is something's popped up, and it makes me laugh, because this is very real to me, and I laugh because it might sound mad to other people, but I don't care. So when I was walking a little while ago, it was a few days back, the immediate thing, as soon as I got out into the forest, was I was looking at the trees, and I felt that the trees were talking to me. And um, I was really looking at them and really appreciating them. And something happened. I kind of recognized that actually what I was doing was appreciating them. I was giving to them. There was a recognition of what they are and what they mean
Mm,
that was coming from me to them. And I noticed it because usually when I go walking in trees, it's something that I want from them. I want their energy. I want their
mm,
spirit. I want their calming. I want them to, to give me the peace that I'm seeking. And this time round, it felt like I'd gone on a walk because those trees needed to be seen. They
mm,
needed to be said hello to.
mm,
They needed to be greeted, and it was a very different feeling because I felt then that there was a reciprocal relationship.
mm,
You know that it's important for me to get out there. And actually, if I think about what just popped into my mind right now, it's a more expansive thing. It is actually about the bigger picture is our recognition of nature
mm,
and the recognition in ourselves that we all are at a point where giving back to nature is it's tantamount. It's tantamount to nature survival, it's tantamount to our survival. And even recognizing in that sentence that our and nature's are separate things in the sentence, but actually they're not.
yeah.
So yeah, coming back to what you said, it's really interesting that that popped up for you because that popped up for me the other day, that there is a reciprocal thing here in nature, that when I'm walking for the trees. I'm not just walking for myself.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there a lesson to take forward in that? Reciprocity of your walks, or recognize nature, or nature needs to be recognized? What's the thing you want to take forward? Or is it part of long walks?
The thing that popped up into my mind, I'm just going to grab a hold of this thought. Um, so one of the things that I wanted, one of the themes that I was thinking about before when I was preparing for this session was, auditioning. The nature of auditioning is changing, and as I said, it's one can feel like you're just doing all these self tapes and throwing them into a vortex and not hearing anything back. And
Yeah.
I've said that even in this session, but a couple of times. The actor Bryan Cranston did a wonderful talk once about changing your perspective on auditions. And he said basically you're not going for a job when you audition. You're doing your job when you audition. This is the job.
Mm, interesting.
So
Yeah.
immediately, because it's faceless right now, and I'm not meeting people in the room, rather than have a beef about that and complain about it, I just have to accept the fact that that is the case. There are still people there.
Yeah.
When I send out the self tape, there are still people. They may be faceless to me, but they're still human beings watching.
Mm,
And they're people who need to put their production together. And so they're people who have a yearning for somebody to give them what they want.
mm,
And I'm one of those people who's trying to give them what they want. If at the end of the day it's not what they want, fine. It's somebody else's job, it's not mine. But if I take that attitude of like, each time that I'm auditioning, I'm giving something to somebody in the hope that it will be useful to them,
mm,
then it changes that perspective of feeling like I'm throwing stuff into a faceless vortex.
yeah.
So I may not have a language with the trees. I may not see all of them, but that thing of going for walks is actually about giving to nature. I can apply that to my auditions as well. I can apply that to learning the technology I need to learn to be able to give out.
Mm,
It takes the onus off me and puts the onus on them. These
mm,
people need something and they're calling out to me to see if I'm the one who can give it to them.
right. It's a different way of looking at it, certainly.
Yeah. And that
Rather
just
than,
that just came into my head. That's quite a profound
mm,
connection, actually.
yeah. So what do you call that? meeting the needs, or that's not right. Giving out.
Yeah, it's actually it's what I want to say is meeting the needs of others
Okay.
as opposed to my needs.
And that could be meeting nature's needs. It could be meeting the needs of the
Yeah,
producers, or
yes, exactly. I'm just writing this down.
mm,
Yeah.
and when you were talking about, sorry, were you done?
Yeah.
Um, so I wrote the word reciprocity down
Mm.
because you were talking about wanting from the trees and giving back, and there was this reciprocal thing that was happening. So do you feel that also in, even if it feels faceless in the vortex and all that with auditions, is there still some sort of reciprocity that you see or feel in some grander sense, even if you're not getting feedback on those tapes you send? You thinking
Um,
about that?
yeah, as we're talking about it, I think that really it's a very profound thing to hold on to. I think what I'm I think what happens when I do that, when I think in that way, is it just takes the pressure off me.
Mm,
This is a funny thing. It's popped into my head. Um, I don't have children, and I don't have any regrets around that because I never wanted children. We've spoken about this before. But lots of actors I know, when they have children for the first time, they're very, very frightened because of the disruption. And ours is an incredibly selfish profession. It requires you to be, when somebody says jump, you have to jump.
mm,
And so they go into the experience very, very frightened. But I've noticed with all of my actor friends who have had children that when they have children, something changes in them completely,
mm,
and it brings a lot of fortune their way.
mm.
And I think the thing that changes is that they have to look after somebody else and
Right.
keep somebody else alive.
Mm,
So, for want of a better phrase, it makes them pull their head out of their own arse, and
okay.
we actors, are we are continually thinking about ourselves and the next step,
Mm, mm-hmm.
and it doesn't necessarily have to be in an egotistical way. It's often a survivalist way,
Right.
and having to focus on somebody else stops you doing that,
Mm,
and it brings a new kind of fortune. So that's what's popped into my mind immediately, is that when I focused on the other person or the other, being like a tree, or I think about I'm giving this to the director because the director needs something, the producer needs something, my agent needs something, the
mm,
casting director needs something. If I can give them that, it takes the focus off me.
yeah.
And that's what I want to be doing this year.
Mm,
I want to take the focus off myself in terms of, giving myself a hard time or driving myself forward. And I want to put it into the thing that I'm creating or the thing that is in front of me.
amazing.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. This word, every time you say take the focus off me, the word stop being torture is in my head, like
Stop,
taking the focus off
stop being
me and
tortured.
hmm?
Did you say stop being tortured?
Stopping being tortured or feeling tortured. The
Yeah,
focus on you, there was some, I don't know. I don't know if that's,
that's exactly it. I'm
is that
so
focus on self and I'm not getting it as some form of
yeah,
torture.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Okay.
exactly it.
So your year is about taking the focus off yourself,
Yeah,
or really it's putting, the phrase should probably be putting you're focused on something else. Because if you say
Yeah.
take the focus off myself, you're focusing on yourself. So putting your focus on the other thing, on the person, on the need, on the,
Yeah.
and patience
Yeah.
and long walks and gratitude.
Yeah. I'm really getting that that image now of stretching things out,
Mm,
and it's funny when, we went into tier 4 and Christmas went blah, 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 blah,
yeah.
and then we went into lockdown, and I can, and then the third thing that happened is various politicians starting to put out little um, sentences about this may go on until,
Hmm.
and I could feel the tension in people. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, if you say to yourself that lockdown will happen until at least April, the next 3 months, that's probably the reality of the situation. Then you'll be able to deal with what's going on now,
Mm,
if you don't have that oversight.
yeah.
And when I did that with myself, I'm like, right, okay, it's going to be at least April.
Mm,
A kind of a calmness came over me, strangely enough. And I thought, what is that? And it's that thing of like just stretching something out.
yeah.
That it's really okay to pull something out and take time over it.
Mm,
And again, it comes back to this thing that we've talked about a lot. When I feel like I've got to do this, I've got to learn how to, use a recording studio in the computer, or I've got to learn how to edit, or I've got to write that book, or I suddenly feel so constricted that months, years can go by without me doing anything.
mm,
But when I pull something out like that, and I go like, it could take you ages to get there,
yeah.
I find that there's a relaxation that happens that allows me to apply myself to whatever is in front of me.
Right.
That I suddenly one day go, oh, I got there. This is like, oh, I just did a couple of professional voiceovers from my home studio. And how long was it? Like 8 months ago that, 7 months ago or something.
Mhm.
I was terrified of even going
Yeah.
down that route. And, I had to ask Laurie for help, you know. So there is that thing of just stretching it out and finding the patience. And there is that thing of recognizing that, of keeping the focus on others. If I go walking because the trees need some, human attention, you know, if I think about giving the auditions out because those producers need to find somebody to complete their creative project,
Mm,
and I can be the one who can help them, then it just shifts the focus and it really helps. Yeah.
yeah. Sounds like a much more appealing way to live.
Relaxing. Yeah.
Mm,
It's
mm,
much more relaxing. And I feel just talking this through and putting those concepts into words and writing them down, I feel immediately more relaxed.
mm. Nice. I'm wondering if there's some visual that you want to help you remember this stretching out, from tense to stretching out. Or will you remember it in your body? Or...
I'll remember it. Yeah. I mean, I have the vision. You know what? It's not an elastic band. What I'm looking at is a piece of pastry.
Okay.
Not a big piece of dough that you just kind of
Mhm.
like pull out like that. You know how the Italians are so good at stretching pasta?
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
That's something that actually the longer it gets, the better it is. The thinner it is, the better it is. That's the image.
Great.
I'm going to write that down. Yeah.
Great. So these are all the things that you're taking into 2021. What's the way to gather them up and focus on them, or you have them written down?
Mm.
How will you remember them I guess is the question. I know you'll remember the stretching in your body, but the rest of them.
I've got all of these notes here. I think what would just be really good is to take out those kind of headings. And I've got my desk that I work in upstairs. So just to, I don't know if you can see how I've kind of written patience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those kind of, just cut a piece of paper out, write the word in, color it in, and stick those
Nice.
on my board just as a visual thing.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what comes to mind straight away.
Okay, great.
Mm.
Great. I assume you will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be on the board by this evening probably.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you want to prepare yourself for 2021 and moving forward?
No, I mean, there's lots of things I would like to do. But just talking about this, having those structures feels like I can immediately think about those things that I want to do, and putting those structures underneath those things that I want to do is the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
I can immediately think about, all the stuff that I'd like to look back on 2021 and say I did that.
Mm.
But having that structure underneath it as the starting point, rather than I should do that, I need to do that, that's got to happen, feels like a much better way to begin the year.
Yeah. Great. Well,
That's
I
fun.
wish you the best year, even better year than 2020.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laurie. That was a really useful thing to actually, I think about the phoenix from the flames, to think about what can we take from that year, to that very disruptive year of 2020. Positive things that we can take, and how can we take those lessons into 2021 rather than trying to wipe the slate clean and go, that didn't happen.
Right. Let's just forget that.
Yeah, a lot of really good stuff did come out of that year. A lot of learning that I don't want to let go of.
Yeah.
So that was a fantastic session in kind of being able to encapsulate those learnings. Thank you.
Okay, good. You're welcome.